More former WWE superstars set to return on tonight's edition of Friday Night SmackDown. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. And of course, tonight is Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. And don't expect the returns, the surprising returns of former WWE superstars, former NXT superstars to stop anytime soon. Already, we have seen the returns of the likes of Dakota Kai. We've seen Karrion Kross. We've seen Dexter Lumis. And tonight, we could be seeing more former WWE superstars that may not have fared so well under the Vince McMahon regime of WWE return to the company now that Triple H is in charge of talent relations and creative for the main roster. Of course, since Paul Triple H Levesque became the new head of WWE Creative and Executive Vice President of Talent Relations, several former WWE superstars have made their returns to the company. Last month at SummerSlam, as I mentioned, Dakota Kai made her return to the company after being released from WWE in April. Io Sky also made her way to the main roster, making her debut alongside Kai at SummerSlam and the returning Bayley. Kai is not the only former, though, WWE superstar to make a return on the August 5th edition of SmackDown. This time last week, two-time former NXT champion Karrion Kross and his wife and manager Scarlett made their surprise returns after being released by the company in November 2021. At the end of the show, Kross assaulted Drew McIntyre, repeatedly slamming his head into the steel ring steps as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns and the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions the Usos watched from inside the ring. This past Monday on Raw, the returns didn't stop as another former NXT star made their return to the company. Dexter Lumis made his brief appearance at the end of the show following the main event match between AJ Styles and The Miz. So what could we see tonight on SmackDown? We could possibly see the return of Hit Row. Kind of. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, it appears two more former WWE superstars could be set to appear on SmackDown tonight on Fox. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, they are saying, and they are reporting it has been confirmed, or they have confirmed rather, a report from PW Insider that Top Dollar, AJ Francis, and Ashanti the Adonis are set to be on tonight's episode of SmackDown on Fox. Now, it must be said at the time recording, we haven't had any more confirmation from this morning's report. They're set to be at SmackDown tonight. We don't know if they're going to appear on camera. We don't know if they're going to appear as Hit Row, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, during their WWE run, Francis and Adonis were part of the stable Hit Row. The group also included current AEW star and one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champion Swerve Strickland, in addition to B-Fab, Brianna Brandy. Now, all four names were released by WWE in November of last year, just weeks after they were called up to the main roster from NXT as part of the WWE draft. It felt like, considering the run that they had in NXT and the freshness of the faction, the freshness of the stable, they would be shoo-ins for the main roster and would have huge success, but it didn't work out that way. Now, Fightful is also reporting in this report that Francis hasn't been working on the A&E TV show, WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. Of course, he was the host of the reality show during its first season. Already announced for tonight's SmackDown, we've got an Intercontinental Championship match featuring Gunther defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah will face Shotzi and Xia Li in a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship tournament match. Plus, we're going to have a contract signing between SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler, which is being promoted for the episode. So, as far as this return of Hit Row, I say return of Hit Row kind of, because for me, whilst obviously it was a faction featuring multiple people, Hit Row for me was always a vehicle to get Isaiah Swerve Scott, now Swerve Strickland, more over. And he was really the centerpiece of the group. Yes, you had other parts. Yes, you had, Top Dollar. Yes, you had Ashanti the Adonis and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, it was Swerve Strickland. It was Isaiah Swerve Scott that was the centerpiece of that group. And it was a vehicle to get him more over. And it was a vehicle for him to play an effective heel. It was a vehicle for him to be elevated higher up the card. That's why he became the North American champion. It must be said, one of the worst North American champions in NXT history, because he barely defended the championship. I don't know if he actually did defend the championship. His first defense, he lost. Well, he didn't actually lose it in that first defense. He lost it subsequently after the fact. Nevertheless, he was not a good North American champion, but that was at a time when I mentioned that it was chaos in NXT. There was no forward planning, and anyone that had a decent gimmick that got called up to the main roster, chances are it didn't work out. And it didn't work out for Hit Row. And at the time, again, it was shocking. It felt like a massive, massive blunder by WWE. It just, for me, felt like a situation where it became clearly very obvious. And this was always my concern, it must be said, with Hit Row. When they got called up to the main roster, I was worried because I said, look, here's a group that is current, that is modern, that is hip. I sound like an old fart doing this, but you know what I mean. It's in touch with modern culture. It's what younger people want to see and can relate to nowadays, is a faction like Hit Row. But who's booking them? Who's in charge of the creative? It's Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, a guy in his 70s and a guy in his late 50s. I think he might even be 60. I don't know. But certainly two guys that have no idea how to book a faction like Hit Row. Not a clue. And it was always going to be an issue with them. And they got called up to the main roster, and as you would expect, they were gone very shortly. Granted, they reportedly rubbed some people the wrong way, particularly AJ Francis, and he can do that. I mean, go and look at some of his tweets. I mean, the arrogance of some of the things he was saying on social media, of people were laughing at him when they got called up to the main roster because, again, he'd said certain things on social media. He was very full of himself, and a lot of people at the time said, you're laughing now, but when you get called up to the main roster, let's see how long that lasts. And he basically said, no, we're going to be fine. We can promo. That's what he said, right? We can promo. You might be out of promo, but you were out of a job fairly quickly. Again, because that's what WWE does. There was no job security in WWE. Maybe things have changed now. But I think they've teamed up a couple of times on the independency. But again, you know, Top Dollar and Ashanti the Adonis weren't the biggest names coming out of Hit Row. They just weren't. And I do sort of think about this a little bit. Yes, we've seen names return. Dakota Kai, Karrion Kross, Dexter Lumis. We're going to see Top Dollar and Ashanti the Adonis come back. But are these names that can really, truly succeed in WWE? Are these guys really going to draw money? People like Karrion Kross, he divides opinion, but Triple H certainly feels we can do something with him, and that's probably a fair option. The presentation he had in NXT was very good. Again, whilst it was divisive, whilst some people find him flat and bland, there is money to be made there. I agree. Dexter Lumis, he's not a main event guy, but he's certainly a character, I think, and maybe you could do something with him. Dakota Kai, absolutely there's money there. Clearly there's money there. But this one, you've got back, you know, half of Hit Row, but not even particularly a good half. And again, you know, AJ Francis, by all accounts, he had some heat because when B-Fab was released, he asked about her travel. That got him heat with the office, which is just WWE political BS. It's nonsense. But also when he was sort of talking about sound and all that, I don't know. I look at this and I say, well, why are you bringing these guys back? Are you just bringing them back for the sake of bringing people back and having a surprise? Or do you really believe you can do something with them? Because I would be fascinated to think or see what Triple H thinks he can do with half of Hit Row. When, to me, the magic was in the collective, and the magic really was driven by Swerve Strickland. And I don't know what he intends to do with half of Hit Row, unless someone else is going to fill Swerve Strickland's role, but I don't know what that would be. But I think that's certainly interesting. Nevertheless, we could see him, but look, there might be other names that appear as well. The big rumor is Bray Wyatt. I don't expect to see him on SmackDown tonight. Clash at the Castle, though, possibility. Anything is possible under the Triple H regime, it must be said. Nevertheless, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.